Hey guys, it is Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. I have got one of the funnest songs to play today. We're going to learn how to do Revolution Is My Name by the great Pantera. Dimebag is absolutely killing it. It's amazing riffs, cool solos, just a lot of really cool stuff to dig into here. We're going to take a look at the entire track. Before I do though, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you're somebody who watches a lot of my videos and you think you're subscribed, maybe check on that because you're probably not. And please subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and kind of watch my videos. It really helps. And if you really want to support what I do here on YouTube and make sure this channel just doesn't die into nothing, join my Guitar Academy. That's the main way that you can do it. You can help out. And you can see a link to that in the description. That link will give you a free 7-day trial. Guitar Academy contains all of my courses, from courses for complete beginners to more advanced courses in technique, improvisation, ear training, theory, guitar tone across many styles. I'm there every Saturday morning with this kind of live stream for Academy members only, so it's a really cool hang, and hopefully I'll see you guys there. So let's jump into this track. So we got to get the tuning stuff out of the way. So technically you would call this D standard. Every string is tuned down a whole step, and that is what I'm tuned to here. Now, what Dimebag liked to do is he did not play to concert pitch. Concert pitch, in most Western music circles, is A440. So that means the A above middle C is at 440 Hertz. And then everything else around that is just, so that's where the A's at, and everything else around that is going to be referred to, or like related to that. So that's considered concert pitch. Now, Dime liked to tune his A above middle C to 425 Hertz, not 440. So that is why everything sounds a little bit flat. It's like halfway between D and C sharp. So that's how he's getting that. He's thinking of it on his tuner, it'll read just D, but his D sounds more flat because he's not using standard concert pitch. He's using A425. So set it to that. If you can, there's tuners online, like free apps, tuners that will allow you to change the settings of the Hertz settings down to that. So then you can just tune to regular D standard and it'll sound like Dime does. So other than that, I'm playing a D standard. So this is just A440. I'm in concert pitch here. All right, so we have just this D. This A string is tuned down to a G. D string tuned down to a C. G string tuned down to an F. B string tuned down to an A. And then the high E string tuned down to a D. All right, so here we go. Now we have this really crazy intro. It's kind of hard to make it sound like it with one guitar, so I'm going to play this kind of like he did live, and he harmonizes it on the recording. He adds like crazy chorus pedal effects and all that stuff to it. But I'm just going to play the main guitar part like he played it live. So it looks like this. All right, so this is just a bunch of pinch harmonics and like these slow half-step bends that are going on here. Like I said, he said that he kind of harmonized it like 3 frets up or whatever, and then threw this like a kind of chorus effect on it. But this is like the main bar. So it kind of starts with a low, so this kind of low D string in there. So what he's doing is he kind of, without the pinch harmonics, so he's bending a half step at the 6th fret on the A string. I'm going to call this like kind of as a standard tune guitar. So E, A, D, G, B, E, even though it's obviously not, but just makes things easier. So on the A string, kind of bend that a half step, and then the same thing on the octave of that at the 8th fret of the G. And then back to the one on the 6th fret of the A, and then back to the 8th fret of the G. So that's without the pinch harmonics. And then over to the 8th fret on the D, a half step there, 7th fret on the 8, half step there, and then 6th fret on the low E. So without the pinch harmonics, and then you can kind of do a little bend on that first fret and then the open E. So with this, open first, repeat. So he does that, but then how he starts digging in on every note, and he's picking pinch harmonics. So across every time he's playing this. And then 4th time through. That one goes. And just kind of start bending up longer on that one. And then we go back to the same riff again. Like 4 times. So we kind of finished that 4th one there instead of going. He's really doing that riff 8 times, except that first inning, the 4th inning, he holds that. But the rest of the time, he finished the riff. All right, so that's the intro. We're just gonna do that part. I'm not gonna do like the harmony and all that stuff, but that's what he would play live. And then we have this main riff, which just absolutely rocks. Because all right, so that's gonna start here with this, some triplets there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's just kind of all strict downstrokes, heavily palm muted on the low E string. And then we get to this. So that riff right there, how he plays it, this is pretty much just with his, it's just like his pinky doing a roll and everything. You can do it like that, it's fine. But it starts with a pull off between 7 and 5 on the A string. Over to 7 on the low E string. And then back to the 7. So he rolls his pinky. Over to the 7th fret of the A, and then back to that 7 on the E. So he loved using his pinky a lot. So it is. And then after that, getting back to that 7 on the low E string, you're gonna go back to the 5th fret on the A with a slight bend on it. And then you're gonna go kind of a chromatic first. We're gonna go 7, 6, 5 on the low E string. Then a 3rd fret with a slight bend on, back to 5, and then the 3rd fret with a slight bend on again. So with this. So how he picks this is he does, when he's doing he's just doing straight downstrokes, and then he starts alternate picking. All right, from there we just had this, just kind of hitting 1, 2, 3, just kind of straight downstrokes, palm muted, and then we have this. So as he's playing this riff, you're gonna hear a lot of pinch harmonics. He's really digging into the notes and a lot of little tiny bends, which he calls hick bends. So that riff right there is pulling off again, 7 to 5 on the A. Over to 7 on the low E string. And then that quick little bend at the 5th fret there on the D. with maybe a pinch harmonic. So kind of starting with a pinch harmonic too. So whenever you can throw those pinch harmonics, just really dig it. And then you're gonna end that with 7/5 pull off again. So the riff is like this. And then you do that again. Look at that. If you don't want to use your pinky, that's fine. So we have this so far. All right, so then we repeat that. So up here, instead of doing the second half of the riff, we just go into these 2 power chords. They're kind of root 5 power chords. So the 5th is in the bass here. So it's basically like so you understand power chord off the 5th fret, the 3rd fret of the A string. He's gonna add the 3rd fret and the low E with it, kind of thicken it up. So that's the 3rd fret across the low E and the A, and then the 5th fret there on the D. Then the same chord at the 6th fret. So all together for that main riff, a little slow down. All right, and then we get to the verse riff, which looks like this. Then it gets to the pre-chorus. So this is kind of, the picking is important here to really kind of get it sounding like him. So it's gonna start with the low E, 6, low E, and then the 3rd fret on the low. So these are all, this riff kind of all happens on the low E string. So right there, I start with a downstroke, down, up. And then he's gonna start on a different part, and he's gonna start with the upstroke. So he's gonna start with 5, 0, 3, 5, 0, 6, 0, 3. So we started first with 0, like that. And then we're gonna basically add a note at the beginning of it with an upstroke. So we have down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up. And then we're gonna start from there again. And then we're gonna start with that 5th fret again, but then we're gonna go, which is just that power chord off the 3rd fret. Slide it down to the 2nd fret, pick it, pick, slide down again, to the 1st fret. So we have this. So that little pause there allowed us to do 2 upstrokes in a row, which kind of is going to make it feel. So the 4th time through doing that riff, that has kind of a little bit different ending, which is just kind of straight through. So with this 5, 0, 6, 0, 3, 0, and then 5, 0. So it has a little bit different ending. So all together for the verse. So it has that little different ending the 4th time through. Then we get to the pre-chorus, which is kind of like similar, kind of pick straight through. Kind of then it goes back to the verse riff and back to the pre-chorus riff. So it looks like this. All right, so that's gonna start with some kind of a slide down and then. So that's just kind of straight. So you just go 0, 6, 0, 3, 0, 5. Repeat, repeat. So you kind of repeat that 3 times. So there's no pausing there this time. So just kind of pick straight, alternate pick through. Heavily palm muted. And then that same little chromatic power chord figure. So we have this. And then what it does is it goes back to the riff. We're still on the pre-chorus here, but they play it differently when after this on the repeat, it's then played like the verse was. So like the verse riff, which had that pause in it, and then we go back to playing it straight through again. And then the 4th time through, we do it's back like the verse riff again. But just 2 times of playing it like. Then you're gonna hit that 5 and do those power chords. That same power chord that we did before, the 2 power chords, except when you get the second one, you're gonna hit it 3 times whenever it's leading to the chorus, which it is here. So before we just hit it because it was leading to the verse. But when it's leading to the chorus, give it 3 hits on that 6th fret chord. So all together for this pre-chorus. All right, and then we get to the chorus, which sounds like this. Leading us to the first solo section. So that's a very cool riff. This is kind of, later on in the song, we're gonna play like an extended version of this chorus. But the first time you hear it, it's a little bit shorter than the other 2. So it is. So hit this a couple times on the low E, and then 5 on the A string, 5, 7, 8, 7. And when you get that 7, it's really heavy vibrato. So then you can hit the open E real quick again and do that riff again. So this. And come back to the 1st fret, slight bend, and then the open E again. So we have this all together. And then once again, start it again. So after doing it twice like that, we had this. I'm sorry. So that's going to be 5, 7 on the A to 8 on the D string. Then an octave below that at the 6th fret on the A with a lot of heavy vibrato. So you do that twice. And then back, that same ending. And then it does that riff once, and then we're gonna do a chromatic power chord figure starting from the 6th fret of low E. And it gets us down to the solo section. So let me play that chorus for you again. All right, then we get to the first solo section. There's some harmony work in this solo section, but when he plays it live, he usually just kind of sticks with the lower harmony line. When we get to the second solo, I'm gonna do kind of, since this was very, there's a little section in that when the actual solo starts, that is harmonized, and I'm going to do something that's kind of similar to it, kind of put some of the parts together, even though they were all recorded separately. So we can kind of sound similar to that, even though that's not exactly how he played it. He didn't play it as a harmony live. He just kind of he just harmonized it in the recording studio. But anyway, this first solo, we're just going to do like the part like he would play it live and not really worry about the harmony stuff. So we have this. All right, so Grace has some signature dime legato licks and a lot of other stuff in there. Like I said, I'm not doing the harmony there, but we're gonna start with this. So, like I said, use a lot of pinky there, but really you can just kind of finger it however you want. But it's like second fret on the low E string. Then you're gonna you're gonna pull off 4 to 2 on the D, and back to the 4. A lot of vibrato all over the place. 4, pull off the 3 on the A, back to the 4. Then go to the first fret, pull off to the open, and back to the first fret, all on the A. And then back here to those 2 hits again on the low E string. And here he just kind of keeps everything up the D string. So it's going to pull off from 4 to 2 again. So from there, back to the 4, up to 6, and then 7, pull off to 6, 7, 9. And that last one's going to be a bend up to that note with a heavy vibrato. So. And then this next time, he keeps playing this, but he has a harmony line on top of it, which he really doesn't really do that too much live. He kind of sticks with the lower. All right, so we basically do that twice, and then we have this. So that's kind of a, we're gonna have the open A string with the 5th fret hammering from 5 to 7 on the D. Do that a couple times, and from there we're gonna have pull off 7 to 5 on the D, over to 7 on the A, back to 7 on the D, back to the 7 on the A, and then to that 5th fret there on the D with a little slight bend. So it's kind of similar to the main riff, but just a different timing. It's not playing in the same rhythm. Then 7, 6, 5 on the A, down to the 3rd fret there on the A. So then it's kind of a bend and release there at the 5th fret there with some heavy pinch harmonics. And then play 3, pinch harmonic, pull back off 5, pull back off the 3. And then it's a half step bend at the 4th fret on the low E with a heavy pinch harmonic. And then we have kind of a signature thing coming up. So that descending lick there is one that Dime uses a lot. He's going to use it later on in the song, as in the second solo, but he uses it a lot of his solo. He loved it kind of as a descending. And he made it sound very, very cool. So we have, so So we're gonna start here, this kind of a little blues lick first. Play the 5th fret there in the G. And then it's that kind of standard blues lick. Bend at the 7th fret on the G, then play 5 on the B, and then roll over to the 5th fret on the high E. Do that again. And then we're gonna start the lick again. We're only gonna make it to the note that's on the B string. So we have this, coming out of this. And then we get to this descending phrase. So it's a So what's going on here is a 4-note descending lick that's just descends from each note down the scale. So the easy way to think about it is the top note is like, how I'm doing it at least, I'm picking the first note of the 4, and then the rest of it is legato. So we're gonna play 8, pull off to 7. Actually, let's do first, the easy way to look at this is, let's look at the scale first. So the scale, you can just look at it 8, 7, 5 on both the B, the high E, B, and the G string. So those are the notes that he's going down. Now the pattern that he's using, or the lick that he's using across those notes, is gonna start on the highest note here, the 8th fret on the high E string. You pick that note, and then you're gonna descend 4 notes from that. So we're picking 8, you're gonna pull off to 7, pull off to 5, and then just, you can hammer on from nowhere, or pick. I haven't really dissected this technique if he's like picking the first note on each string or just the first note of each 4, but I like to just pick the first note of each 4. So that means that last note's gonna be hammered on from nowhere. And then what we do is we do the exact same 4 notes descending again, but we're gonna start from the next note down. So now it's gonna be from that 7 on the high E, pull off, hammer on from nowhere, pull off to 7 on the B. And then we're gonna start the same 4-note lick from the 5th fret there now. So I'm gonna pick that note. So it looks like this. And then we're gonna start the same thing now, starting from the B string. It's kind of like a signature of his. And then from there, when we get to the G string, is when he ends it. He's gonna do a start like he's starting the lick. 8, pull up to 7, pull up to 5. So after you've done that full lick here, with the ones that start on the B string, when you go to the ones where it starts now on the G string, that's when you're gonna end it by just going 1 off 8, 7, 5, over to 7 on the D, and then play 5s, hammer to 7 on the G, and then back to 5. And then we're going to end the solo with 2 unison bends. So this is going to be the 5th fret there on the high E string, and then the 8th fret there on the B. You're going to bend the note on the B string up a whole step to match the one on the high E. And then up, same thing, up 1 fret. All right, from there we get back to the main riff, so play the same. So that main riff, back into the same verse, and then back into the same pre-chorus. And then when we get to the chorus the second time around, this is when we have the extended version of this chorus. So that looks like this. right, so that takes us to the second solo. So it kind of ends like the first chorus did. So it starts with the same riff. It's like the first chorus. So right here, at the end here, instead of going, we do this. So it's quick little, kind of palm muted, all downstrokes. So it's 6 twice on the low E, and then hit the 8th fret there on the A. So it's kind of like a power chord, a little 1, 2, 3 pattern across that power chord. And then the same thing off the 5th fret version of that power chord. Then 3rd fret, and then 1st fret. Then back to the riff. Fast, kind of repeats it. Then the same ending as the first chorus. So it's basically the chorus played twice as long, and to kind of connect the end of the first one to the repeat, we have that. So that's the only difference there. So, but it's basically twice as long with that little thing thrown in the middle. All right, and then we get to the second solo section. Now here's where I actually did a little bit of harmony work, where I'm just taking a couple of the harmony notes that he's playing. I don't think it's all of them, but I'm just kind of putting them together so the solo will sound more similar, because right in the beginning, if you leave it out, it just doesn't sound right. So he's not playing, when I get to the harmony thing, he doesn't play that like that. I think live or in the studio. It's just something I'm kind of putting together multiple harmony notes from the studio recording to give us something that sounds more similar. All right, so it looks like this. All right, so a lot of really, really awkward stuff in that solo. So it's gonna start with that same thing that we started. Doing that twice. And then we get to the actual solo, and that's where I first start little harmony. So I'm just kind of picking out a couple of harmony lines to make it sound more similar. But he played these individually on the recording. But it looks like this. We're gonna start this. So I'm going to play the 5th fret there on the G, 7th on the D. Then up to the 10th fret on the D, 9th on the G. And then 9th on the D, 7th on the G. And then we're going to go over to the A and the D string. So 10th fret on the A, 9th on the D. And move that down 2 frets. Then move down to the 7th fret on the D, the 5th fret on the D, 7th fret on the A. Play this, then up to the 7th on the D, 8 on the A again. And then take that shape and move everything up 1 string to the 7th fret on the A and 8 on the low E. So we have this. So it just sounds more authentic to the recording to play a couple of the actual harmony notes together. So that's why I'm piecing it together. And then we have, so that's going to be sliding into the 7th fret on the D. Then play 5, 7 on the G with a bend on the 7. And then roll from the 5th fret on the B to the high. And play 8, and then pre-bend and kind of slowly drop that bend. And then, so that little lick he does a couple times is the 5th fret on the high E string. Then pull off 8, 7, 5. over to 8 on the B, back to the 5 on the high E, and then a quick bend, and then mute, kill it at the 8th fret on the B. So he does that lick twice, and then he starts doing it again. Except the third time, he takes that bend on the 8th fret and starts doing it as a kind of repetitive bend, and then play the 5th fret on the high E string. Some unison bends in. And then we have this quick little lick that goes. Just a couple of pull off 8 to 5, hammer back on, pull back off to 5. Over to 8 on the G, back to 5 on the B. And then pull off 8, 7, 5 on the G string, over to 7 on the D, and then back to the 5 on the G. From there we go into this. So that's going to be 9, 8, 9 on the D. And then play 6, 7, 6, 7 on the G. Then over to the B string. And that goes 6, 7, 6, 7, slide up to 8, back down to 7. And then we have this descending. So that goes into that same descending phrase at the beginning. We have that little thing. So that's going to be after you get there, you're going to come back here to the 7th fret with your middle finger. Undo that, which is going to be 7, hammer on A. Pull off to 7, pull off to 6, hammer back on to 7, pull back on to 6. And then come over to the 9th fret there on the G, and then back to 6 on the B. So that kind of starts that way. And then we can start that descending lick. That we did earlier, that kind of always descending the next 4 notes from the one note down. The notes he's going across, though, are going to be a 9, 7, 6 on the G, 9, 7, 5 on the D, and then all the way down to the 9, 7 on the A. So starting on that top note, 4 notes descending each note from there until we get to here. We're going to go. So once we get here, you're going to come over here and grab the 9th fret there on the low E. So just that same lick that we did. The one we did, a little pattern that we were using in the first solo, he uses it again there. So after this, then start the pattern there at the 9th fret there on the G, and then just continue it down. Once we get here, you're going to jump to this. So that is going to be 9 on the low E string. And these are kind of staccato, so we're going to be on the A string, 7, 9, 10, 11. And then come up here. 9, 10, 11 on the D string, and then the double stops here at the 9th fret on the D and on the G and the B. So with this, and then we have this, which is kind of some bends at the 11th. So hold the double stop at the 11th fret on the G and the B. Kind of pull them down, then down to the 9 double stops. Hit that once, and then do that again. And then we have a really crazy thing that ends as a. So that is unorthodox, to say the least. So it's going to start here at you're going to rake into this top note. So we're going to learn this like here, and then it's just the same thing, 3 frets up each time. So we're going to rake into so kind of muting all the strings underneath it to the 12th fret there on the high E string. Then you're going to play 14, 11 on the B string. So then you're going to bend that note up on the G string up a step and a half to match the note you just played here. So we have this. Then play that 11 again, and then do that bend again. Not easy. And then do the same thing, starting from the 3 frets higher. And then 3 frets higher, the 18th fret there. And then you're going to end it with a bend at the 20th fret on the high E string. All right. Whew. All right, now after the second solo, we get to the bridge, which is very unique sounding as well. And got some really cool riffs in it too. There's 3 really cool riffs happen within the bridge. I'm calling it the bridge anyway, so it looks like this. All right, so we basically do everything I just did there twice, and that makes up the full bridge. So a lot of cool stuff going on there, very unorthodox stuff as well too. So we'll start here with this. Hit 3 heavily palm muted hits on the low E string. And then what he's doing here is he has these double stops at the 9th fret first, and he's pulling them up, so across the D and the B and the G strings, right? You can push them up. It's one thing Dimebag did a lot with his bends is even with his index finger, he kind of pushed them upward, which is very awkward for most players, but it's just kind of what he liked to do. But you notice I'm kind of pulling them more downwards, but it might actually sound more authentic, especially with this once you're pulling 2 notes to maybe pull it upwards. Anyway, so you're doing those double stops with some slight pulls at the 10, and then the 9th, and then the 10th. So we have this 1, 2, 3, and then those double stops with slight pulls on them. But when he's hitting those double stops, he's dragging it across, so he's catching both as like pinch harmonic. So really, get that thumb in front of the pick there, and the edge, the flesh of the edge of it. When you pick behind that, then you have. So can you really get that? And then it goes just 2 hits on the low E, and then just the double stop at the 9, and then 1 hit on the low E, and then 10, 9. This is one of those things, try to get it exactly like he's doing it is going to be pretty much impossible because he's like kind of random pinch harmonics. Play this. So just think of that 1, 2, 3, then 9, 10, and then 1, 2, 9, 1 hit, 10, 9. So it's kind of a cool riff, a rhythm once you get it. So you do it 4 times, and then we have something far more normal. So I have this on the low E power chord, kind of 3 hits, and then play 3rd fret power chord, 5th fret, open E power chord, then the 3-0. It's kind gonna hit that 3rd fret power chord, the open E string, and then slide into the 7th fret power chord, then down to 6. Let's repeat that 4 times. From there, we're gonna have this. So very cool. So that starts here. So it's basically the same riff done kind of 3 times. So it starts here at the, like whenever you can pick a note, pinch harmonic, hit a pinch harmonic. So he's really digging in. So we have this 9th fret on the G, hammer 10, pull back off to 9, pull back to 7. So I'll do it with the without the pinch harmonics for a second. And then you're gonna play 9, pick 9, pull back up to 7. Then you're gonna go 9, 8, 7, 5. Pick each one of them. So now, take all the notes that you pick and really put a bunch of pinch harmonics. Now we're going to start the same riff, but from here. So we're going to start here at the 7th fret there. So that's going to be the 7th fret, hammer 8, pull back to 7 and 5, then pick 7, pull off to 5, and then over on the A string, 7, 6, 5, 3. So, and then the same riff again now starting here. So we get the 1st fret there, the 1st finger here at the 3rd fret. So you're gonna start here at the 5th on the A. Everything is the same as the way we played it up the first 2 times. So it's this lick, starting here at the 9 on the G, 7 on the D, and then the 5th on the A. So after you've done that, it goes back to So it goes back through the same 3 riffs again, 4 times. Well, this one is not played 4 times, but 4 times with the first 2 riffs, and then that little descending thing. So after the 2nd time of playing it, you kind of let that ring, and then we go back into the main riff, but a very shortened version of it. So just kind of like the very beginning of the... You go to those chords in the 3-hit version because it's leading back to the chorus. All right, so at the very end of the song, that chorus ends differently. So most of the chorus parts, they end with this little chromatic thing that takes us to the solo sections, but this one takes us to the end of the song. So it's a little different at the very end. Instead of going, we have this. So those chords are the same thing that we picked across at the halfway point of that extended chorus. So but now we're just gonna play them as power chords, just without. So it's kind of that first fret one's really heavily pounded, and then hit the open E. So. And that is it for Revolution Is My Name. Really fun track, quite challenging, quite unorthodox things going on there. But that's what we get when you have the greatest metal guitar player that ever lived. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.